Hello, everyone. This is Nurse Blue. Blue stands for Build, Love, Unite, and empower people about my favorite subject, hopefully soon to be yours, soul health. Listen, I was just thinking about this because the Holy Spirit prompted me to get on today to invite you to deal with something that you've been running away from. And that is this idea about suffering in silence. Be honest, are you suffering in silence? Think about it. Are you suffering in silence? If you're anything like I was many years ago, because I mastered suffering in silence, I ran away from it for years. Pretended that it wasn't there, and if you would have asked me about it, I had so much pride. Honey, I would have been insulted if you even asked me. Although I really was. I was living in a state of suffering in silence. And quite frankly, I did it for many, many years, both as a child, as an adult woman, as a professional. Why? Because I didn't know how to break out of it. You see, many people don't realize that we're prone to suffer in silence because we grew up with our parents telling us, look, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. You don't tell anybody about what's going on. And you upheld that whole idea like a badge of honor. Now, that doesn't mean we wanted people out in the street talking about our business or, letting everyone know about all of the dysfunction that was happening in that household. But it led to us suffering in silence. And women do it a lot. As a matter of fact, many of us have been taught by our mothers, our grandmothers, the women in our life how to suffer in silence. And many of them masked it as being strong, girl. Be strong. Suffer in silence. The other day I was at the store. Let me tell you a quick story. I was at the store and it was the end of the evening and I had just finished working. Had a pretty good day. And normally, I strike up a conversation with people. I consider myself pretty friendly. And there was a woman that was standing behind me and she looked like she was a little distressed. And so I asked her, I said, how are you doing today? And she said, oh my God, I had the worst day of my life. I can't wait for tomorrow. And I was like, just to encourage her. Well, guess what? It's just a few hours away. Tomorrow will be here and it'll be a better day for you. And all of a sudden, she burst out crying. And she shared with me, with tears running down her eyes, that today had been the worst day of her life because she had to end a marriage of 31 years with a substance abuser. And she had been suffering in silence for many years. She built a family in 31 years, built a life, an identity around this, around this lie where she probably told everybody, oh, we're doing fine, we're doing great, everything's fine. But behind the scenes, this was a woman who probably lost herself, who told herself built a wall of lies, believing it was going to get better, believing she could change it, or who knows what the story is. We're about to start working together, so I'll find out in a little bit. But at the end of the day, she needed help. And we stepped outside of the store after we made our purchases, and I spoke with her, asked her a few questions, prayed with her. Because what she needed a nurse. She needed a wellness coach. She needed a safe space where she can go and lay her head so that she could free herself from the prison she had built by living in silence. It's a very uncomfortable place. And when you live in a place where you're suffering in silence, you don't realize how much chronic stress you are living in. You know it's uncomfortable, but what you do to deal with that discomfort is sometimes you ignore it, and then the pain and the agony of ignoring it requires that you numb it. And we find so many ways to numb it. We can numb it with substance abuse. Maybe that's what happened with her husband. As a matter of fact, I know it's what happened with her husband. Substance abuse, whether that's drug or alcohol, or maybe it could be overworking. A lot of times workaholics, they think that they are building an empire for their family, but really what they're doing is suffering in silence. And so that suffering is transmuted into working long hours, or it could lead to you having an extramarital affair. A lot of people who find themselves in relationships outside of their marriage comes from suffering and silence. I know what that's about as well. Okay? So, here's what I'm going to tell you. I want you to be honest with yourself today. Are you suffering in silence? And what I mean by that is, are you unhappy and faking it? Is it hard for you to wake up in the morning time because you're living with so much pressure, so much anxiety, so much stress? You can't sleep at night. You don't know what move to make. And then what happens is, because you are in denial, you're taking it out on everybody you care about. If you are a married man, then the container for your pain might be your children or your wife or your employees, if you have employees, or if you manage people. If you're a woman, it could be the same thing. Maybe you become lethal and short-tempered with your tongue, or lethal with your tongue and short-tempered where you're burning bridges, you're hurting others, you're in denial. Maybe you're shopping a little bit too much because that's what eases the pain, the distraction. Every vacation you pay for, you're still taking your suffering on vacation with you. Yeah, you can live near palm trees and go see beautiful skies like this, but you can't even truly take in the beauty of the moment because you feel so distressed inside and you don't know what to do. Here's the first thing you need to do. Be honest with yourself. Okay? Say, yes, I'm living and suffering silently. Okay, good job. Next, I want to offer you an opportunity to do something about it. Because on the other side of that suffering and silence, if you're willing to love yourself enough to click the link, I want to offer you, first and foremost, give you something that's healthy, that can shift your feelings right now. I'm a musicologist, so I'm going to offer you a great song. A song that can build you, love you, unite some broken pieces of you, and empower you right off. But we can't stop there. But click the link, you'll get your song. And then I want us to start building a relationship, because I want to help you defeat this suffering and silence. You don't really know how much it's doing to your body. You're living in chronic stress. Chronic stress means you're living in fight or flight. If you're living in fight or flight, that means you're living in anger and you're living in fear. Fear and anger long term will lead to a chronic disease if it hasn't done so by now. And we can avoid all of that if you just click the link. And if you're already there where you're taking a prescription for a chronic illness, 98% of chronic diseases can be reversed. Let's do something about it. Because if we don't do something about it now, you are going to simply regret. You're going to simply regret that you did not take the opportunity sooner to take your life back from living in a state of pain, suffering, and silence. It leads to early death. It leads to suicide. It leads to making bad decisions that you'll look back on and wish you reached out to somebody that could help you. And I want to be that person for you, just as I was that person for the woman I met this week in the store. This is a really good time for us to start working on it, because we are approaching 2024, and you don't deserve to put another year of your life off to live in a state of brokenness and suffer in silence. So, good news. There's hope for you. There's hope and there's help for you. You need a nurse, a wellness coach, and a musicologist, and I cannot wait to help you. So click the link right now. I do not have a lot of time this month because thankfully I have clients that I will be working with, but I got two spots available where I could work with you one-on-one. But first, I want you to click the link and schedule your free discovery call so we can meet. We can date before we get married. How's that? But meet, and I can identify what's going on in there so we can start creating a plan, a strategy, and start activating your personal power so that you can have everything in this life and you no longer have to lie to yourself or lie to others or create a life built on lies. You know you're unhappy. You know that it's too much. You know that you can't continue to live like this, but you don't know what to do, and I just told you what to do. So I look forward to seeing you, and I hope this was helpful to you, okay? Click the link, get your song. Let's start building a relationship where we can help you break out the prison of living and existing inside with pain, suffering, and silence, okay? All right, bye-bye. Look forward to seeing you. And if this video was helpful to you, I'm going to invite you to please to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'm an expert at helping you to defeat chronic stress. Chronic stress must go, and suffering and silence can't have you no more. All right, bye-bye.